Quigley, and today I'm doing a speech on self-driving cars and their implications on the road now and going forward in the future. So the scene you just saw came from the movie Logan, which came out in 2017, and it showed, I don't know if you were able to see it, but the trucks that force him off the road and the other horse carriage off the road were self-driving trucks. So this clearly took place in the future, and they caused an accident there, but it made me think about what these implications are for the cars moving forward and how they can help society in the future or how they can hurt us. So every year, car accidents result in the death of almost 1.3 million people around the world, which is an average of 3,287 deaths per day. And that's not including people who are left injured or disabled from car accidents. Those numbers are asking whether or not self-driving cars will increase or decrease these events. I personally feel that until the technology is 100% perfected, these accidents will still occur, but I think that autonomous vehicles or self-driving cars will definitely lower these numbers because you're taking the risk out of a lot of different areas. So people may still be driving on the roads and cause accidents, but I think it greatly reduces the risk of impaired driving, drunk driving, um, breaking the laws like speeding violations that result in accidents and other stuff like that. So first of all, I'm going to talk about impaired driving. In 2015, impaired driving accounted for almost a third, 29% of all traffic-related deaths in the United States. That was 10,625 people dying from these accidents. And I think that self-driving cars can almost serve as a personal Uber. As a college student, but I have experienced taking Ubers all the time, and I've seen people take so many Ubers all the time. And late at night, when there's surge prices, when too many people are trying to call an Uber, or there's a longer wait time, or sometimes Uber around 3 or 4 a.m. will be shut down because there will be no drivers on the road. I think this leads people to try and risk driving and driving themselves home after a night of drinking or whatever it may be. And I think if there's self-driving cars, this risk is greatly reduced because not only are you waiting for a car to pick you up, are you paying something, it's your car, which means it's there no matter what. And if you're impaired and you need to take the risk driving, this allows you to do it safely because you are not driving the vehicle. So as you guys can see from this picture, it might be tough to see, but the blue line is completed Uber trips and the black hill is alcohol-related incidents. And as you can see, they both peak at pretty much the same exact time, which is kind of interesting because if you think about it and Uber never existed and that blue line wasn't there, you would expect that peak to be way higher for the alcohol-related incidents because it's just incentivizing more people to drive home rather than get some sort of ride because Uber has become one of the most used ways of getting home. It's so much easier, it's quicker, and it's way obviously more safer, or obviously just safer. So it's interesting to see that they're peaking at the same time and that if Uber wasn't there, then you would expect alcohol-related incidents to be much higher. And I think that self-driving vehicles, as I said earlier, will act as a personal Uber so that this peak will, the blue line for completed Uber trips or getting home safely through your own self-driving vehicle will be much higher than the alcohol-related incidents, and we'd expect that peak to go down. So next, I want to talk about how self-driving vehicles can reduce the amount of traffic violations that occur that lead to accidents. So over spring break, I was driving home from Fort Lauderdale, and I was driving in the right lane. I was going straight, and a semi-truck was right next to me. And I was just sitting there, and I looked out my left window, and he was moving into my lane. I was like, wow, he's getting really close. And I went back to looking at the road, and I look out to the left again. He's getting closer. He's getting closer. He ends up hitting my car. I was with a friend at the time, and the wheels started shaking. We spun around and we actually ended up going airborne and hitting the concrete barrier on the side of the highway. I was luckily okay. The worst thing that came was this burn on my arm. It may be tough to see, but it's a dark spot that was really bad at first. thought it was a bruise, but it turned out to be a second degree burn. I don't remember. The doctor told me. But at the time, it was very painful. It was really bad. And the cop that was actually behind us, he said that he wasn't expecting anyone to get out of that car. He thought it was way worse than it was for both my friend and I. So if you think about it, self-driving vehicles can stop these types of accidents because right now there's the technology in cars that if you even move out of your lane without switching or without like doing it on purpose or without your blinker on, something will come up that says a lane violation or something like that, and the car will beep, and sometimes the steering wheel will shake to make you aware of what's happening. So if this technology already exists, we would expect that in self-driving vehicles, lane violations like this or other traffic violations that lead to these accidents, like speeding or pulling over into another lane that you're not supposed to be in, these can be largely eradicated. And accidents like that, what happened to me and what's happened to so many people, I've heard this happen to a ton of people when I told them my story, these can actually, this will be mostly eradicated due to the technology. Obviously, if it's not perfected, some things can still go wrong, but I think that if the technology is already there and it becomes a little better in self-driving cars when they become completely autonomous, then accidents like the one that happened to me can be almost gone off the road. So just to give you guys a little reference of what happened, here's a picture of my car. I was on the highway. I caused so much traffic, and that leads me into my next point, which is self-driving vehicles kind of taking away traffic on the highways and on other major roads because I mean, I'm sure every single one of you have experienced it when you're driving on the highway, you see a really bad accident, you end up backed up for maybe an hour or more just waiting to get through one single lane that's still open. So just for reference, this was a picture of my car, and if it's maybe tough to see, but behind me there was a ton of traffic. My mother had to come pick me up and actually had to wait about 20 minutes before she was able to pull into where the accident was and pick me up. Lastly, I keep talking about the technology being perfected, and I say this because there was an incident in Arizona where Uber was testing their self-driving cars and a pedestrian was actually hit by one, and this person unfortunately passed away, which is why I think that we need to wait for the technology to be perfect before making all cars self-driving because obviously there's still things that can go wrong with these cars, although I think that self-driving cars takes away a lot of human error, which comes when there's accidents on the road. Like the truck moving into me was a complete human error because if a technology sensed that another car was there, it wouldn't have allowed the car to move over. So in some senses, it can be bad because there may be legal issues if there are accidents with autonomous cars, but I think it'll take away a lot of the accidents and traffic that is caused on the roads by human error, whether that be a traffic violation from speeding or um, or just drunk drivers on the road when they could be in an Uber or in a car that they don't need to operate themselves. So thank you guys for listening and have a good day.